What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Another episode of Chiefs Focus Live on the Fantasy Sports Corporation. What's up, Caleb?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's draft night.
Draft night.
Night before draft eve. Let me just put it that way. We'll call it draft eve.
Nice.
I'm excited, man. It looks like it's going to be fun.
It's going to be a great time. It's going to be a really great time. I can't wait for it.
They did a hell of a job on Union Station.
They did.
My God, it looks so good down there, and that they had to reinforce the stage.
Mm-hmm.
They said because they were worried about the weight and everything with everybody that's going to be on it, so they reinforced it again. It's like a second time of reinforcement.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So, looks like it's going to be interesting to say the least. There's been a lot of talk going around the NFL today because of Pac-Man Jones
and
his ignorance. Going on McAfee saying that D-Hop's either going to be traded to the Chiefs or the Bills. Caleb fell off. He'll be right back. I don't know about you guys out there, but I don't think it's going to happen with the Chiefs at all. I think it's going to end up being a situation that he just doesn't get signed until after June. I think it's going to be a post June 1st where he's cut.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be a post June 1st. I think one of the things we're going to see with that whole situation and what we saw, and what I think happens if they were just basically doing a smoke screen. Everyone's lying. Everyone's putting stuff out there to feel important, to feel relevant. And when we see with all that stuff, it's just kind of showing us as a whole, at the end of the day, everyone's kind of lying.
Yeah. It's a smoke screen, man.
Someone basically what we see is a team out there wants some other team to give everything they have to get D-Hop. That's not going to happen, Chiefs fans.
No.
The Chiefs are not going to go after him. That's just not. That's not how it's going to work.
Not at that number. I mean, look.
Exactly.
If Arizona was willing to eat $15 million or 50% of that contract, and he restructured on a 3-year deal with an out on the 3rd year, the Chiefs would sign him.
Oh yeah, that's.
But they're not gonna give up a bunch of draft capital and go through all that headache for a really kind of an older player that you don't know whether he's going to last a season or not. It's just not going to happen. So
exactly.
So all the Chiefs fans out there that are, and the insiders that are out there saying that Veach has been working really hard. Veach made one offer. It's the same offer we talked about 5 weeks ago, and it hasn't changed.
Yep.
So if they want to do it, that's great. If they don't, that's on them. But, this is not going to be a situation that anybody thinks it's going to be. The Bills will give up a kidney to sign him.
They probably will, and that's what they want to do. That's on them at the end of the day. Honestly,
it's their choice. So I don't know, man. To me, it just seems like a it's just a bunch of talk and Pac-Man Jones trying to make himself relevant again, which I don't know if that's even possible. But
it's been a bit.
Yeah, I mean, what's he been out of the league like? What, 5-7 years or something? I mean,
it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
I don't know, dude. So everybody in these group chats we're in and everybody on Twitter is making up their own mock drafts. It's changed probably, if you look at some of these mock drafts, they're kind of comical because, you just got average fans out there making mock drafts. And I looked at a couple of them today, and they were all excited about the D Hop thing. So they assumed that we were going to stick at 31 because we were going to sign D Hop. It's probably not going to happen. I mean, look, I think Veach is going to move forward. If Dalton Kincaid is not available at that point, I think they will probably go after. I think they're going to go after a defensive edge, is what I think they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of what I'm getting. I don't think they're going to go after a wide receiver in the first round, although Trey Flowers is intriguing. I'd like to see him in a Chiefs uniform, but I think he's a good fit. Smaller guy. We lost a smaller guy, so we need to pick up a smaller guy, in my opinion. We need another speedster. And I think
this would be the perfect time from Quentin. For those asking, he'll be on soon. He's traveling back. He'll be on very soon, though. But one thing he's always said is that when you look at these different wide receivers, it's pretty much copy and paste. 5'10", 185.
Yep.
200, if that. Throughout multiple guys. You only have a couple good guys that really have shown a lot. You've seen guys like Jackson Swift and Jigman haven't been talked about in months. He'll probably be taking the top 15. Jordan Addison will most likely be taken. So there's a lot of different things that can happen and change. And I think because of what we're going to see at the end of the day, the Chiefs will go for an offensive alignment or defensive alignment. I say offensive alignment. I think you said defensive alignment, and Quentin last night said defensive alignment. So, I mean, when you look at there's a multiple different options they can do. But in the end of the day, I think regardless of what happens, they're going to do something that's going to benefit them. Reach is looking. And tomorrow night, during this time, it's going to get a little crazy. I'm just being honest. It's going to get a little crazy.
Absolutely. And we'll be on Spaces and on doing a live show during the draft to cover all of this stuff.
Now, I have a question for you. Why do the first 3 teams take the entire time on the clock, specifically the number 1 team? You already have had the time. Why are you – let it do 2 minutes. We're really going to let the whole clock run before you make a pick? Why
I gotta be honest. I think it's just drama more than anything.
That's a little annoying. Okay, we know you're like when they took Jarbo, we know you're gonna take Jarbo. This one's a little bit more up in the air, but it's like, really, do we really have to wait this long to figure out who you're gonna take when you've had 4 months, 5 months, 6?
And sadly, they already know. I mean, it was Carolina already knows that who they're picking, what quarterback they're going with.
Well, yeah, they already know. Yeah,
so
the teams already have
that should last about 30 seconds, in my opinion.
And it's like, why are we dragging it out? That's just the one thing that makes it zero.
I think it's just for dramatic reasons. I think it's just, like anybody, if anybody that's a football fan out there doesn't realize that these guys already know who they're going to pick, and the fact that they get to pick whoever they want right off the bat, and there's nobody in their way.
Exactly. I'm not saying
so they can do whatever they want.
Why are we taking 80 years? That's the only thing I don't understand. But regardless, it is what it is. There's nothing that can really be done. But hopefully we're going to see a lot that's going to change, and the Chiefs can get some studs. That'd be very nice. Now, do you think there's a chance Clyde gets traded over the weekend?
I think he will.
Going to wait.
I think they're going to trade him.
Because it sounds like Veach said they're going to evaluate his 5-year option until after the draft. I think they're taking a running back. They're going to take another running back then.
I think so too. But I think they're going to wait until, well, I don't know if they're going to take one or if they're going to bring McKinnon back. But
I think you still got to bring one because Clyde's not going to be here. I feel like.
Yeah. And Rojo's not here. So it's a matter of who they want to bring back. Quentin. Hey.
Dan, that was a fast 10 minutes. Speed racer.
Man, what are you doing?
You must have been speeding on the highways and burning rubber. Good to see you.
Hey.
Yeah. Glad you made it. Well, anyway, I think, if Clyde is tradable, which I'm sure Veach is 5 steps ahead of everybody. From what I heard, he was being traded during the draft. He just didn't translate well to the NFL, especially with the Chiefs. But and he wasn't, honestly, just after that first injury, he was never the same. I just don't feel like he has it's almost not the fact that he is not the same because of the injury. I feel like he just doesn't have the determination to play in the NFL. When you value Fashion Week over the parade that you just won.
Are you talking about Clyde?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. I mean, it's his decision today. It does show a weird message.
It absolutely shows a weird message.
The enemy was there, and then he left, but he was there at least. I don't know what was going on with Clyde. Hopefully, we figure it out. I know a couple people up near where I live, and he lives up near where I'm at, and they said they've met him. and he still is nice and talks to people. I don't know if he's preparing, like he knows this is the end. I'm just waiting for it. He's like, I'm done. Because he's still gonna have to show up to like those OTAs if they keep him. So it's gonna be very interesting. Unless he got pre-approved beforehand and he was like, look, I already went through one. I really don't need to go through another. Is this fine? I mean, I don't think there's even a tweet from him, too.
No, there's not.
So,
there's nothing out there from him. So.
There was nothing. So it's his decision that he does chose he wants to do. He did go to the first one. I don't know how I feel about personally because I believe everyone can make their own decision, but I don't think it's a little odd. I thought we would see something, but in the day, it is what it is.
Well, you got Eric Bieniemy that's at one that is texting, literally texting the Washington football team or whatever their name is now, Commanders or whatever.
The team that resides in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area.
Yeah, those guys. He was literally texting them on the stage while he was at the parade. So at least he showed enough respect to say, hey, I'm here. Clyde didn't do that. And I know he's a coach. Regardless, doesn't matter. Every single player on that football team, including guys from the practice squad, were there except for Clyde. That's sad. But anyway, the D-Hop rumors, everybody put them away. Honestly, I don't think it's going to happen. I feel like it's going to either be the Bills, which, like I said, will give up a kidney for his ass, or the Jets, because Aaron Rodgers wants everything he can get. And I did talk to a guy today about it. He laughed, and he said, don't rule out the Jets. So the Jets want to take over that division. That's what they want to do.
Have my hot take on the
Sure.
I don't think he gets traded. I think he gets cut.
What might happen if nobody takes him?
I think we're at this point in the scenario where if you're a team that, sees that he's available and, you know that he doesn't want to be there anymore, why wait for him to be moved? Why give up draft assets to try and get a guy like him when you know that the likelihood is he's going to be cut? So, then you could sort of enter the scrum that way. You can save yourself some money and the draft assets, right? So I think that he's going to be, especially if you're on a team like Kansas City or Buffalo or any of the other, top teams in the AFC contenders for him, right? Or in the NFC, right? If you're a top team, a contender, don't trade for him. Wait for him to get cut, and then just try and show off, hey, we're a good team. We're competing for championships. We've had success over the last couple of years. Let's just see if we can get him to come in that way. I don't want to give up anything in the draft.
It's a fair point. That's a fair point.
Could happen. I mean, very, very well could happen. Who knows with these guys? I mean, they're all nobody knows what's going to happen at this point. I do know that we're at a situation to where I don't think anybody really knows what Veach is going to do except for Veach. All the talk on Twitter and everybody saying, oh, Veach is working really hard for D-Hop. No, he's not. He made one offer. The offer stands to this day from 5 weeks ago, and that's where it is. So it's not going to make any difference either way. I do feel like, again, that they are going to move up if they have an opportunity to get Kincaid. He has dropped on so many people's draft boards. I'm pretty amazed. Now, I'm not talking about these fan draft boards that don't mean anything. I'm talking about guys that actually know what they're talking about. He's dropped, down to 26 on some of them. I still think he's not going to be available at 30.
That's a range for the Chiefs.
Well, here's the thing. Who do you think? Now, I mean, this is really simple to come up with. You got a team like the Raiders. What are they picking, 7th or 8th?
Yeah, 7th.
Yeah.
7th. Okay, so they pick 7th. They need a tight end, right? I mean,
yeah.
They need a tight end. Why wouldn't they go after a guy like Kelsey? I mean, a player like Kelsey.
The Chiefs aren't going to trade him? No, I'm being funny.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be like, and Burrow, I mean, Cincinnati wants him because they want to be us so bad. It's not going to be a situation that I don't think Cincinnati's going to trade up for him. They think they're going to leave. I think Cincinnati's got something in their minds along with Buffalo that they're going to leapfrog us somehow. Like if we leapfrog, they're going to leapfrog again. I don't think Veach is going to allow that to happen. He's already got too many alliances. So
good point.
That's just not going to happen. But I don't see Veach going. He's not going to jump up and lose a bunch of capital unless a player is involved and he can trade a player and a pick to jump up high enough to into those before like 25. I
Mhm.
just don't see it happening.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So,
Like I said in the past, I think the reasonable spot is going to be trading with the Giants at 25. I think realistically, that's probably as high as you can jump up. And
Mhm.
we know that the Giants are one of those teams that's looking to get assets, right? They made the playoffs last year, but they're not a great team. You know, they've got some pieces to build around, but if you're New
Mhm.
York, you know, one of the best ways to continue to progress is to say, okay, you know, maybe we won't get the one guy that we wanted at 25, and let's just try and get an extra third or fourth round pick so we can continue to build around it because we need assets. Whereas Kansas City, on the other hand, look, Kansas City can walk out of this, out of the draft, and if they get, you know, 3 starters, I mean, seriously, if we get 3 starters out of the draft or rotational pieces, I mean, this team is still going to be the best in the NFL. I mean, you're filling up
absolutely.
just a couple of
Mhm.
holes, right? And you're
Mhm.
good.
The rest is depth.
Mhm.
Yeah. So if you are seeing a guy at 25 and you can move up and get, then, you know, send some of those assets over there. I would just be, you know, I don't want to give up anything for next year. And I don't want to give up a bunch of top 100 picks because I think that's where the value is.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think trading up to about 25 is where, you know, where you're going to be able to go, maybe with Minnesota at 23, but you know, the value there in terms of how much assets you'd have to give up to move up any higher than that, I just think becomes too much. Because
Who
Kansas
picks
City moved
2
up.
and 3?
Where did they move up to get like McDuffie last year?
21. They went from
21.
20. Did they go from 29 to 20? They went to like 29
No, they
to
were
21 or
30.
26
No,
to 21.
they were 30. I think.
Well, they had two
I-
first round
They had
picks.
2 first-round picks. They
Mhm.
traded their lower one up to get to McDuffie. So
Yeah.
it was a higher 20.
Mhm.
So they didn't move
Yeah,
up
it might
that
have been
far
the
to get
27th pick then.
27. They moved up. They didn't move up that far ahead to get him either. So, you know, we just have to realize that I don't think it's really possible for Kansas City to get the 20th pick with Seattle or 18 with Detroit. I just don't think that that's realistically possible.
Mhm.
You're really only going to be able to jump above some of those other playoff teams, some of the,
How
the
funny would it
Cincinnati's and
be if
Buffaloes of the world.
they somehow the Chiefs said, all of a sudden it was announced the Chiefs were on the clock at 6. I swear to God, I would
need to
pee
see
my
the
pants, dude.
station.
I would pee my pants. I
Then
would.
I
would
think
just-
Roger Goodell would have to take some sort of a cognitive test in order to,
yeah.
you know, make sure everything's still running okay up there.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
Mhm.
Oh, it'd be
Detroit
so
is not trading away the number 6 overall pick.
No. It would be funny though
Mhm.
if they did. I am still stuck on Kincaid, and I think if we can get him at that spot,
Mhm.
that sweet spot, then we will. But if not, I think we're going. When I talked to my buddy today, he thinks that we're going to go after a defensive player in the first.
Wouldn't
But
surprise me.
we could talk about this right after this short commercial break.
Underdog Fantasy is here to save your post-fantasy football season blues. The easiest place to play and win with the Underdog Fantasy app. Get up to 20 times your money in a single night with our Pick'em contests. Grab some insurance when setting your picks and win even when one pick fails. Go online now and use the promo code Chiefs Focus to double your deposit up to $100. Sit gingerbread, good girl.
Hey, we want to thank Underdogs Fantasy for sponsoring this show. Back to the task at hand, the draft. What is your guys' opinion on that last comment?
I think the Chiefs are going to go defense, right? I think that the most value for this draft around 31 is going to be defensive end.
Mhm.
I think that we're going to see a run on defensive ends towards the end of the first round anyways. If you just look at some of the teams that sit around that spot, New Orleans, Cincinnati, Philadelphia, right? These are the kinds of teams that need to continue to improve their pass rush. Buffalo, right? Von Miller was injured. We don't know that how he's going to look coming back.
Mhm.
So all of these teams heading up, they're all going to need some version of pass rush. And
Mhm.
some of these teams are going to pick up a defensive end, which means that whoever you get here at 31, you're still going to get a good player because that's the depth in this draft is at the defensive end spot, one of a couple of places. And so even if 3 or 4 guys, go in front of you, I still think that at number 31, you're getting a good player. But if you wait any longer, once you get into round 2, I'm just not so sure if the value is there unless what happens, Kansas City, let's say hypothetically, Kansas City drafts a tackle at 31, right? And then at number, 38, 39, 40, right? Kansas City moves back up there and then is able to snag a defensive lineman. I feel like that could happen, but if we're talking no trade scenarios, who are they picking at 31? I think it has to be a defensive end.
Well, I do know that there is some interest in Trey Flowers from the Chiefs.
Okay.
They do like him. That was mentioned to me today as well. I would be really upset if they went after a wide receiver in the first round. I'm just sorry, but I would be. We don't need it. We don't need a wide receiver in the first round. And I think that would be something that would kind of blow my mind a little bit if each went that direction. But I don't think Flowers is going to go in the first round anyway. I really don't. I think he's probably going to be an early second round, mid-second round pick. It's just my opinion. I could be completely wrong, but that's just how I feel. What else went on today that was...
Aaron Rodgers had his press conference.
Oh, Aaron Rodgers had his press conference, and he's wearing number 8, his old college number, because he didn't want to take Mr. Hollywood's number, even though it was offered to him to unretire it. Joe Namath.
Good for Aaron Rodgers, though.
Selfless move.
Let Joe Namath keep his number. Let that stay there. So,
Absolutely.
Jets fans, when they're wearing number 12, it's not a question of which guy are you wearing. I think that's a classy move. To just no longer. I know it was offered to him, but it's like it was that offered to him only because you kind of have to offer it to him as your PR stance. Like, wouldn't you just look like?
Well, no, that was Joe Namath himself that offered it to him.
Yeah, I know. I mean, if Joe Namath, like, what else is he supposed to say? No, you can't wear my old number. I mean, that just makes you look like a bad person. And then so for him to just not take it at all, I think that good for Rodgers for not taking the number.
Well, the story I got is that Rodgers never brought up the number. He never even asked about wearing his number. This was something that Namath said, if Rodgers signs, then he can have my number. And Rodgers said, no, Joe Namath is Mr. Hollywood. Number 12 is synonymous with Mr. Hollywood. I'm going to go with my old college number, and I'm perfectly fine wearing it.
Wow.
So I think that's pretty cool that he did
huge.
that. I mean, for Rodgers, that's very huge. That's one of the biggest things I've ever seen him do. That's selfless anyway. But anyway, he's now a Jet, which is pretty amazing to me that he's following in those footsteps of Brett Favre. But
now he just has to get injured and end up with the Vikings.
Yeah, and then Kirk Cousins flies under the radar, and then the next thing you know, he's with the Vikings.
Yeah.
No, I think he's stuck there. I think he's going to be there for a while. They're in it to win it, and don't be surprised if somehow they don't end up with D-Hop.
I think there's a good chance. I mean, nothing would surprise me at this point. Yeah. What we've seen.
I don't know. Do they have the roster spots for another wide receiver?
They will make the roster spot for him.
I'm about to say, I feel like they'll make one.
Yeah, they'll make one for him. And not only that, after that conversation during that presser, when you know somebody that is an ex-GM of the Jets and deals with them constantly, and you get a chance to actually talk to them off air, you find out a lot of things. And they're in it to take that division over. They don't care about Miami. They don't care about Buffalo. They don't care about New England. They want to win that division. And they're tired of being dead last. And I think Rodgers can ask for whatever he wants. Fuck, the guy was getting people signed when he wasn't even signed himself. And they were out picking up players he asked for.
Yeah.
So if anybody thinks he can't be signed, he can't get D-Hop, you're wrong. And if he wants him, he's going to get him. Really simple. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's where he ends up at. Just wouldn't be at all. Let's see. Washington decided not to pick up the fifth-year option on Bryce Young.
Not Bryce Young. Chase Young.
Not Chase Young, sorry. I was kind of surprised at that. I don't know about you guys, but I was a little surprised that they didn't pick up his fifth year.
I mean, first year he did pretty good. The second year, second, third year. I mean, he had an injury. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I don't think the Chiefs would trade for him, but we'll see what happens this offseason. What happens specifically? He's not on the best team, and they've had other players that have kind of outperformed him. So I really don't know what's going to happen there. He could possibly, if he does really well, and this is a contract, he could possibly be a trade piece at the deadline for a team that needs a pass rusher. I feel like,
Yeah,
if
I
things
agree.
can go his way.
Yeah, I agree. I was just a little surprised. I mean, maybe that's the arrogance. I don't know. Maybe that's just part of.
I don't
rebuild.
think he's
I don't know.
arrogance. I just
No,
think
not
as a
him.
whole- oh, okay. I just think the hand he was been dealt hasn't been the best
Oh no, not
for
at
a
all.
multitude of different reasons.
Yeah.
What do you think, Quentin?
I'm also kind of shocked that they didn't pick up his 5th-year option, because you pick up the 5th-year option doesn't mean that he plays on it, right? I mean, you can always work out a deal later. You can work out a deal, even once the season ends, when it kicks in. I mean, it's a lot like, it's basically picking up a franchise tag a year before his contract ends. It's sort of what it is, but it's cheaper than a franchise tag. So I just think that at a premium position like that, I think the odds are is you're going to want him around. I can't imagine that he has such a significant drop off that he's just all of a sudden not worth keeping him around. And that would be when you regret, using that 5th-year option. I don't know if there is a story of a 5th-year option being used and we look back at it and we're like, wow, that was a bad mistake. So in a premium position of a guy that has shown talent on a team that should have a decent defense, I do think that it was just sort of a weird thing to not pick up a 5th-year option when I feel like unless something tragic goes wrong, you're going to see him on the team next year.
What's up, Philip? I will tell you this. What that says to me is that they're going after somebody to replace him in the draft, or they have a trade set up for another edge rusher, or bringing somebody in.
That's fine. Hey, if I were the Chiefs, I would take him.
I mean, we need the
Depending on
depth.
the deal.
If anything,
Well, he would work.
Yeah, so I think he'll end up with I don't think he'll end up with the Chiefs, but I think he'll end up probably. I don't know. I can't say that because
Veach has traded
he has
day 3 picks for players, Reggie Ragland, Mike Hughes, and many others. I'm not saying that they would go for him, but it could be something down the line where they'd be like, we might make the move.
I wonder if he's worth
possible,
a day 3 pick right now.
But the thing is he, depending on where he's at, because he started off here and it's kind of dropped.
Yeah.
So the values are all-time low, but then just the Chiefs want him for more than 1 year. That's the thing. So
yeah, that's going to be the thing right
there.
there.
Bust at this point. I mean, I really don't know, but I think the option is available. If the Chiefs want to do that, it's a possible. They did it with Darren
Where does
Lee
Washington pick first?
with the Jets. So I'm not for sure.
I wonder where
they're the
Washington picks first. What is it?
16. They picked 16th overall.
Okay.
So
that's a little interesting too.
I just think there are two things that I don't know if Kansas City is a spot for him to go, because the two things that Kansas City seems to value a lot, especially on the defense, right, is youth. And with that youth is cheap contracts. So, there's only a couple guys that have gotten paid playing on the defense while Patrick Mahomes has been here. One of them is the best defensive tackle in the NFL with Chris Jones. And then the other one has been a veteran safety that's come in. There's been some other pass rush guys that like Frank Clark got paid, but that's a different situation altogether because you traded multiple first-round picks. You paid him what the market value was at the time. But so I just don't know if you can do a similar thing when your history says you've been looking into developing your own pass rush.
That's a good point.
Well, if he's got 1 year left on a cheap contract, I don't see. I mean, they could probably work something out. Even during the draft, they could maybe be able to work something out. But who knows? I mean, it was just something that I thought was kind of interesting to say the least. The Chiefs seem to they march to the beat of their own drum, and this year, given the fact that it's in Kansas City, is going to be a huge.
Oh, nobody told me.
I think, well, everybody else may not know. If they don't, they shouldn't be watching football. I think that Veach has something up his sleeve. I think he wants to make a splash in the draft more than ever because it's in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't be
think
surprised
so.
if he does something crazy.
I think he might pull something off. I have a feeling.
Yeah.
You got 11 picks, or not can get 11 players. They're not doing.
We don't have enough roster spots for him.
Yeah,
so what's
I
the point in
truly
having
do
him?
believe that. I just don't think that Kansas City ends up picking that many players because, with all of your successes last year and you filled up the roster, you backloaded it with some guys already, that there just doesn't seem to be that many spots open. So, and with the value being in the top 100, even in the 60s, 70s, 80s, I think moving up into the second and third round, even if it's some of those later picks, I think you can get a lot of quality players there, even if they are, maybe considered more developmental or rough around the edges. I think that there's a lot of guys that you could go and fill up holes that Kansas City does have.
Easily.
Yeah, very few that they have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's just guys all over the league right now, and there's going to be guys in the street pretty soon. As soon as the draft's over, somebody's going to have a group of guys in the street looking for jobs, and then you're going to have a group again come September. So it's just Veach is methodical when it comes to certain things, and I think he's just got something. He's got something on his mind. Today, like I said, today when I asked, they laughed.
Well, I do have a question for you guys. If there's one player, what is your just give me this? What is your wish list player? If Veach just went all crazy,
in the draft, or
what is a player you would like for the Chiefs to get? Just no option. Just no. Don't listen to the Dolphins fan. They're not. There's not America's team.
Oh God!
He makes the playoffs, and they didn't do good. What is one player you would like to see Brett Veach get? It doesn't matter if the Chiefs can get him or not. What is one? Because I think he could possibly go after that player. Do you guys have one in mind?
Mine is Dalton Kincaid, but
okay. What you got?
I think, man, there's that. Mine's kind of weird because I don't know if he's a first round guy or not. That defensive tackle out of Pitt State, can't see. I would love for him to be on this defensive line. I just don't know where his value is. I don't know where other teams are going to value him because he's a defensive tackle. I just don't know where he's going to fall. I could see him being a third round pick. I could see the justification behind that because he's a defensive tackle. I just hope that if he ends up in Kansas City, I'll be very happy. So I'm not really sold on any of the wide receivers. Jackson Smith-Njigba is probably the best of them.
Yeah, he's pretty damn good.
But none of the wide receivers.
Look. Oh, hold up. First, he says, this is Commissioner Cooper, by the way, people. He says the Chiefs are number 2 to AFC, or in the AFC, to America's team. Look, man, you got Tua. My head hurts all the time. There's no way.
Wow, that was mean.
It's true. I mean, I could come up with 6 more, but until you get past 5 games with the same quarterback, you can't talk no shit. And then he pops off and he says, what do you say? He says, Commish is coming next week to test your Chiefs fanhood. Oh, damn. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. Hey, maybe we could test your Dolphins fanhood. See how strong your Dolphins. You better brush up because I'm way older than you. Anyway, I don't know what. Oh, okay. Anyway, moving forward. What were you saying, Quentin? Sorry, I had to put that in there because it was comical.
Oh, I just think that the defensive tackle from Pitt State, I don't know where he's going to be valued. So if he ends up being a third-round pick, sort of a mid-round pick, I could see that. He's a little undersized. He, even though the pass rush skills are there and he was very successful, we do know that size matters in the NFL, especially at a defensive tackle position. And I genuinely just don't know where. I've seen him go all over the place in terms of mock drafts from sports writers and I don't know where he's going to go, but I'd be very happy if he ends up here in Kansas City.
Mhm.
I agree.
Mhm.
It would be nice to see him here. He's a great player. It's absolutely Caleb.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, he's a great player. I think he's not. I don't think he's going to. I think he's probably going to be a mid-second to a late second round, if not
Okay.
early third round pick. There's just so many great players in this draft that are in position of need. I mean, hell, the Dolphins need people. They need to draft a quarterback. I'm sorry, but they do. They need to draft a quarterback because they got nobody as a backup role to Tua. And if he goes down again, which there's the likelihood that he will, especially if they didn't do anything to their offensive line to protect him, they need somebody. So they could talk all that jazz they want about being America's team, but
Mhm.
you know,
It is what it is. We'll
they
see.
need a quarterback. Then we got the Jets. Like I said, they're willing to take that entire division over. They don't care what they spend. You got the Raiders that are picking early in the draft that will probably try to do everything they can possibly do to take anybody that remotely looks like Travis Kelce or remotely looks like Tyreek Hill or remotely looks like anybody that we've ever had. So
Mhm.
it's going to be fun to see. What's Corey got up here? He says his 4 hopes. What's his 4 hopes? My 4 hopes are Anton Harrison, DeJuan Jones, Zay Flowers, Dalton Kincaid. They're good 4 hopes. I mean, I hope you pray on that tonight. It would be great to see any of those players. I would be happy with any of them. Dalton Kincaid's my number 1. I would say Zay Flowers, DeJuan Jones. Anton Harrison, I think he might be a later round pick. There's so many players in this draft.
That could work.
I mean, it's crazy. So you never know. I mean, we got, with the exception of the first round, we got 2 picks in every round after that, right?
About, I think.
Yeah, at least 2, right?
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think at 1/5, I think.
Maybe
Yeah,
it is
I'll pull it
1/5.
up.
Yeah,
I'll pull it up.
it's either 1/5 or 1/6. I can't remember, but I know they've got at least 2.
They got one. We got one in round 1, one in round 2, one in round 3. The 2 in round 4, 1 in round 5, 3 in round 6, and 2 in round 7. So they have at least 1 pick in every round. We're going to see the picks that have 1 pick. The rounds that
He's
have 1
trading
pick
up.
is 1, 2, 3, and 5. Every other round we see is multiple picks. So
Right there,
and
what
that-
I just heard, he's trading up.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yep, I feel
Don't
like
worry,
he's
front and center with my camera phone out. Like, yes.
trading up.
So
I feel like he's trading up, and everybody in Miami and everywhere, the Raiders and the Bills and Cincinnati's all going to be pissed when he leapfrogs everybody and just starts grabbing people. He's going to grab the one guy they want. I know he will. And then in the second round, he's going to grab the 1 or 2 guys he wants because he's going to trade up.
Mhm.
I just feel like he's going to do it. If you can trade away a player and 3 picks
Mhm.
to fill your roster up or to fill up your trade pick or your picks within, say, 2 to 4, 2 to 5,
Mhm.
I'd do that in a heartbeat.
Okay.
Get rid of those guys. But Veach is very good about finding guys in the 6th, 7th round too. So, and there's going to be great players in the 6th, 7th round this year.
Oh, easily. I think I was talking about Philip the other day, and there's a running back possible the Chiefs could take. So I mean, there's people available there. So anything is possible at this point.
Oh God,
I mean-
the rumors are going around about Gibbs right now, saying
Yeah.
the Chiefs are going to go after him in the first round. Come on,
Mhm.
man. We learned our lesson. Anybody that says that, this is for you.
Dumbass. Thank these. They call me dumbass. Black guy entertainment. Stupid.
Look, when we
Because-
talk about the depth in this draft, we talked about this on the show last night, is that we're still seeing the effects of the COVID year, right?
Yeah.
We're
Mhm.
still seeing guys that took off a year. This is why some of the March Madness teams were so old. The San Diego State school was older by average
Mhm.
age than the Oklahoma City Thunder. So we're seeing that, college kids stayed in a year longer. And
Yep.
this is why we have a bunch of talent coming out at once, because it's the normal talent that would come out in the draft and then add some on top of it. So,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, you
this
got a
is why-
25-year-old quarterback coming out in the draft right now.
yeah, this is
So-
why there's a lot more talent on the back end, is just because that there were more guys coming out because of the year off.
Mm.
Corey says my bald prediction is we trade up with either Seattle or Minnesota. I mean, it probably could be. What's he saying? He said Zay Flowers is the closest thing to Tyreek. If you look at, he really is. I like Zay Flowers, and I think he wants to come to Kansas City. That's the crazy part. He had nothing but good things to say about Kansas City.
Well, that's good. That's really good.
So he really wants to come up and play with the Kings. So, hey, man, you want to play with the best, you got to be the best. And if you can't be the best, you're out of here.
Mhm.
We figured that out real quick. So we got rid of Tyreek right at the right time, picked up a bunch of great players. He still didn't make a Super Bowl, won again this year. And, it's so crazy to think that after all of the moves in this offseason that the Chiefs have done, not bringing guys back.
Mhm.
Everybody thought, they were going to bring Juju back. That was a deal. They let him test free agency, and he got the bag. More than we were going to give him,
Mhm.
is what it is. But we're still the number one team to win the Super Bowl. Why is that?
You have the
Because
best
of
damn quarterback
Patrick-
in the NFL.
Fucking Mahomes
Mhm.
and Andy fucking Reid.
Yep.
That's why. That's the reason why. It has nothing to do with Eric Bieniemy. It has nothing to do with, well, really it doesn't. It doesn't have anything to do with Matt Nagy. It has everything to do with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. And also, let's not forget Travis Kelce. But
Mhm.
we're still the number one team to win the Super Bowl. Over the Eagles, over everybody else. We're the number one team. I think somebody, and I don't remember, it was on the NFL Network, one of their contributors had us number one, had Cincinnati number 5 or number 6 to go to the Super Bowl. They had other teams in front of them. I think the Jets were in front of them to go to the Super Bowl over
Well,
Miami.
that's that hype.
Yeah.
Where do they have the
So-
Chiefs ranked again?
One,
Okay.
number one. Everybody within the NFL Network had us coming back and winning.
We'll
the
see
Super
if that changes in a couple months, because we have that pretty soon. About a couple months from now, we're gonna have that annual Chargers take. Oh, the Chargers are gonna end up going 13-4. They're gonna win division. They're gonna end up going to the Super
Yeah.
Bowl and winning.
Yeah.
And they've been saying that for 10 years.
Yeah, that
and
always
they have
happens post draft.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
post draft. The Chargers
Post-draft
win the AFC
bullshit.
West.
Yep.
Mhm.
And it seems like Steve Reich is one that's always riding that gravy train and wanting to. Him and I have gotten into it on Twitter over that. It's kind of fun to get in his ass when the Chargers don't make the playoffs
Mhm.
because it's just fun. It's fun to mess with him. And he's not. It's funny part is he's not even a Chargers fan. He's a Rams fan and a Cardinals fan for baseball. Not even a Chargers fan. He just, for some reason, guy born and raised in St. Louis, hates the Chiefs. So he picks against them in our division. Kind of is what it is. What's he saying? Any of you guys going to be in KC tomorrow? Yeah,
Caleb
I'm
and
not
I
going to
are.
be there.
Mhm.
Definitely not going to be there. But Caleb and Quentin are going, and I'm sure a few other guys are going. So you guys can all meet up. But yeah, it's going to be a fun time. I'm going to do a Spaces, and I'm going to do a live show during the draft, and we'll sit and talk about it the entire time. And we'll just, we'll do what we did last year. We'll make our predictions and see who's going to do what, and we'll go from there. Let me run through a really quick commercial. I'll be right back.
Underdog Fantasy is here to save your post-fantasy football season blues. The easiest place to play and win with the Underdog Fantasy app. Get up to 20 times your money in a single night with our Pick'em contests. Grab some insurance when setting your picks and win even when one pick fails. Go online now and use the promo code Chiefs Focus to double your deposit up to $100. Sit gingerbread, good girl.
That gingerbread's one ugly ass dog. I don't know if you guys saw
Wow.
it.
Well, you made
Dog's
somebody mad.
Well, I'm sorry, but whoever's dog that is, it's not cute. But it's a damn good betting program. So you might as well. Hey, if you can get you double your money up to $100 on just by using our promo code. Do it. You can bet on any sport. Brad said he fell asleep, long day, hand in his pants. So he made it. All right. Brad says he's going to be there.
Okay.
He told me he was parking at Kemper Arena and was going to make the hour and 18-minute walk.
Is he really doing that?
That's what he says.
All right, Brad, power to you.
Yeah.
Quentin and I will not have to do that.
Yeah.
I'll walk
Yeah.
you 20, 30 minutes at the most.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Quentin. I got us a good spot.
So these guys, they're all going to be there. So meet up and have some fun. I know Quentin will.
Yeah,
So
I've got some time to, regret the decisions I make about my liver.
That's true. That is very true. Just drink a lot of water, man. That's all you got to do. Drink some water. Water and cranberry juice. You'll be all right.
Start drinking tonight.
He said, Corey said, I got a box of cigars for anybody that wants one if we have a good first round.
There we
you
go.
can walk around. Do you got aviator glasses too? You need the aviator glasses if you're going to smoke cigars around. Piss the Bengals fans off. Bungles fans. Hey, by the way, I had a good discussion with a Bungles fan today. For the first one ever. I had a decent discussion with the guy.
Okay.
And I was pretty impressed with him. He wasn't a guy that was going to go after anybody, and this all stemmed from Brad putting out a tweet basically saying we heard all the crap about 3-1 from Cincinnati and all the crap from Buffalo, but yet we won the Super Bowl with a one-legged quarterback and no wide receivers. And of course, every Cincinnati fan on the planet, except for this guy, decided to chime in.
Mm-hmm.
And I put out the tweet and I put out the invitation. If you want to come on and have a battle, a nice debate, we're more than happy to do that. You can bring your empty trophy case. We'll bring ours with a lot of trophies in it. You can bring your ringless fingers. We'll bring our fingers with rings on them. And then we can talk about it. It's really simple. Just join. I mean,
one of these.
Yeah, that's all it takes is one of those fat ass rings. And I don't know if you guys can. I mean, you probably borrow one from some other team that's won a Super Bowl, but or Burrow guys can bring his college one, but it's not going to do him any good in the NFL. And he didn't wear it when he was showing off his finger with that girl. I don't know why you would ever do that. That just kind of shows how dense you are to show. I mean, go on social media when you know every team that can't stand you is going to troll the shit out of you for putting up your ringless finger, and you go and do it anyway. You got to be one. I mean, that's just. I don't know, man. I don't get it, but whatever. That's this guy right here. This again.
Dumbass. Thank these. They call me dumbass. Black guy entertainment. Stupid.
It's that guy. Why? If you're a dumbass if you do something like that and you put it up on
all I'll
social
say
media.
is we have Mahomes and Bengals fans have Joe Burrow, and I'm just gonna accept that trade 1,000 out of 1,000 times without hesitation.
Absolutely, and they got to keep their players. That's the whole thing. They don't have the aptitude to keep their players under contract and then keep him protected. They don't know how to do that. He said Burrow is Andy Dalton with better weapons. That is kind of funny. He said a Bengals fan said that.
One more topic, and then we can wrap this show up.
All right, what's that topic?
So I put out a poll, and I was just asking,
whoa,
what positions do you think Kansas City will go in the first round? So I have 4 options: defensive end, wide receiver, or tackle. And then I had the last option was other, right? Mm-hmm. So my question is not necessarily in the first round. Let's take those 3 positions out: defensive end, wide receiver, tackle. We know those are clear needs for Kansas City. So what do you think is another need for Kansas City that they will pick up or should pick up in the later rounds to fill in some depth?
Running back.
What do you think those are?
I say running back is one. There's a good chance I think Clyde's not going to be here. And if Andy McKinnon's not going to be here, so we're going to try to figure out which one they're going to keep for one more year. I think they're going to try to find another running back, a scat back, a little similar to Pacheco, but more of a guy who can catch in the backfield, a little like McKinnon, someone that McKinnon can mentor. Maybe CH can mentor. I think they're going to go that route. Running back's one I can see, especially in the later rounds.
In the later rounds, I can almost see a wide receiver in the later rounds. I can't see one early, but I can see one later. Unless for some reason Zay Flowers decides, Caleb, you got a
Yeah, I don't
alien
know
in
what's
your room.
going on.
The aliens
Ball's
are there
about
to
go
get
loud.
you, bro. If you get beamed up, I'm gonna pee right here in my
I'm not
chair.
going with no aliens.
Um,
God will be with me. I'm not going.
Okay,
no
but
aliens.
outside of
All
those
right.
3 positions, JP, what is another position you think Kansas City needs to add?
Out of
Name
needs
of
to add
outside of defensive end, tackle, and wide
Safety.
receiver. Safety. Okay.
Yeah, I think they need to add a safety. They need the depth there. That's my opinion.
Okay.
What do you think, Quentin?
I think that this is a great year to add at the tight end position. I don't know if I would necessarily say they need to. If I were going to go with a need, I think they need more corners. One, because corners are a position where they're so volatile, right? It's a guy can be really good one year, this week, this month, and then all of a sudden they seem to lose it. So, cornerbacks are like
Marcus
relievers in
Peters,
baseball.
sorry.
You just need to keep getting new ones every year. You got to rotate that position. I think that, this is a corner draft where there's a lot of guys that there are going to be some guys available in the late rounds. So corner depth, I actually do think. Plus, we on this show, we hope that Snead gets another contract. We still aren't sure after the end of this year what's going to happen with Snead's contract. So if, you're sort of planning ahead, I think corner is a position they need to go in.
Veach is always planning ahead. He's usually 3 to 4 years ahead on what he's planning on doing. So we've seen that numerous times.
I've
Corey
seen in the
thinks
chat.
that guard.
Yeah, I was going to say guard is definitely one. I agree. If you're going to look over the next 2 years, Tooney becomes really expensive. So if you're going to keep your overall offensive line cost low, you need to find another guard, right? You're not going to be able to pay everybody. So to keep the overall cost of your offensive line low, you're going to need to replace Tooney over the next couple years. So why not find a guy later in the rounds that might be considered a project, but you can work on and get to a decent guard? I agree with that. Somebody said linebacker. I also think that, we've had this conversation before. I don't think Willie Gay is going to be on the roster after his contract is up. I think he's just going to get the one Thornhill, right? You're good. You're really good. Thank you for your service. Go get a payday. Got to rotate linebackers. Look, linebackers are not worth as much as they were 10, 15 years ago, right? Teams are running the ball less. You don't need 2 thumping middle linebackers anymore. So you really need a lot of athleticism there. So if Kansas City sees a guy
Very
that,
athletic.
if Kansas City can find the next guy, go ahead.
If you can find him, if you can find a replacement for Willie Gay and his athleticism, okay. But I think the fact that he is able to defend a lot of wide receivers in this league sets him apart from a lot of linebackers. Even sets him apart from Nick Bolton, because Nick Bolton is great. There's no doubt about it, but he's not the fastest. And there's been times wide receivers on RPOs and different things have gotten to him. Or screens. So I would like to see. I'd like to see Willie Gay back. I like him, but I like the way he plays. He said field goal kicker. Come on, man. Leave Bucker alone.
Do you mean Holder?
You mean holder or kicker? Come on, man. Leave Bucker alone.
And Townsend. Leave Townsend alone, too.
He just signed a
Townsend's
contract.
back. There's a reason why he's back. And don't say because nobody else didn't want him, because the Chiefs kind of put him in a position to where he would come back. Well, he may be right about that, but there's always kickers in coming out of college. We don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, you don't draft a backup. You get that's where your undrafted free agents come in.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, you bring that guy in that's not going to cost you anything. A bag of chips and a Diet Coke and be done with it. That's, that you don't want to draft one, but kickers are not an anomaly, but they're not, hard to find either. We did last year, but that was because every kicker there was no rookie kickers out there. There was no undrafted free agents out there for the most part, but we we could find one. It's not going to be a problem to find a backup to him. I mean, he was found on a practice squad. So, was it Carolinas?
Yep, Carolina's practice squad. They try to hide.
Yeah, that's
him
how
in
we
there.
got. That's how we got Butker because
Yeah, so-
I believe it was Cairo Santos at the time.
Yeah, he
was
pulled his
our
nuts.
main kicker and got
Yeah.
hit on a late hit in. I also still believe they might have still been in San Diego or they might have been playing in the soccer stadium. But
I think it was the soccer stadium, and I think he got his nuts. That was when he pulled his groin, and then he was, he was, look, if you're out and somebody is better than you, then I don't know what to tell you. Patriots, what's he saying? Thanks, brother. Appreciate it, man. I'd like to see the Patriots and the Jets just have a heyday in that division. I would. I like to see Belichick actually show that he doesn't need Tom Brady. And I like to see the Jets actually win multiple games.
Mm-hmm.
I would. I like to see it happen. And not spend $250 million doing it. You know what I mean? I guess that's the big thing. If you can actually coach, and they do have a good coach, they brought in some good assistants. So they should be able to do just fine with Aaron Rodgers. I don't think they're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
And if they do decide to bring in D-Hop, which is definitely not out of the realm of possibilities, they're going to be a really tough team to beat.
I just can't. I just don't see that being available with how many guys they brought in.
Dude, I think they will sit somebody to bring him in. If Aaron Rodgers wants him, they will sit someone to bring him in.
They're on win now mode. They're going to have to get it past Mahomes. So we will see.
Yep. Let's see what this last comment was really quick. He said, I just want to see Buffalo get embarrassed in the division. And I want to see Baltimore and Cleveland knock Cincy out. Yeah, that would be great. First thoughts on the Packers.
What? They're gonna finish third in the division?
Mm-hmm. I agree with you.
Third in the division.
I think so,
still
too.
think that the Bears are still a ways out in terms of their rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
I think if the Lions have a good draft, I don't even remember the last time the Lions won their division. If
Moby Dick was a minnow.
I honestly, I don't even know if that's happened in my lifetime. Maybe once. Maybe there was a year where Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers was injured and they won the division that way, but I couldn't even tell you if they've won the division during my lifetime. I think they have a chance of winning that division if they have a good draft, right? They are truly just a few pieces away. They have a good we've seen them get better and better, right, as their coach has been there. So and then the Vikings, I don't think the Vikings are going to be number one in that division because if you look at what happened last year, the Vikings won 11 one-score games.
That's true.
That's not going to happen again. They're not running the table on all of those games again.
No, not at all.
So I'm
That's
going to
not gonna
knock them down. Packers will be fine. They'll be a meh team that they'll be okay. And I think the Lions do have a chance on winning that division.
I'm going to throw out a hot take on the Packers. I have a feeling because Aaron Rodgers is gone, they're going to load Jordan Love up, and they're going to be a lot better football team than they were last year.
That'd be funny.
That would be.
I really do. Because there was so much hate between those two. I mean, there was a ton of hate between Rodgers and the organization.
Dalton Kincaid, the Packers.
Shut your mouth when you're talking to me. Brad said, looks like Jackson might have re-signed with Baltimore is the rumor.
We'll see.
He said if that's true, it's going to make the Bengals division a lot harder. It's true. We'll have to see how that plays out. But if that's true, I don't know if he did or didn't. I mean, look, if he re-signed, did he sign did he sign on a real contract, or did he sign on, just basically
Did he sign his franchise tag?
Franchise tag. Because if he signed his franchise tag, that's just him saying, yeah, I'll play 1 year with OBJ.
Yeah, that doesn't really mean anything.
It doesn't mean shit. We'll see how that plays out. But, yeah, I think the Packers are probably going to be a little different football team this year. 1993, the last time
I wasn't
the Detroit
alive yet.
Lions.
Wow, that's a long time ago.
Yeah. That was in the Barry Sanders days. So, yeah, that's terrible. God, can you imagine going that fucking long?
Long time.
I think they had a shot. What do you say? He said, I think they have a shot to win that division. I do too. I've said that a couple of times on our show and this one. I think Detroit's going to be a better football team than anybody gives them credit for this year. I really do. And I think if you really wanted to kind of go down to it, hey, it might be between the Packers and Detroit. You just don't know. So, at the end of the day.
So,
but anyway,
yeah.
You
So
said we
wrap
haven't
this
seen
one
a
up.
true LaFleur offense. We haven't. All right, guys. Well, we appreciate everybody for joining, and we will be back again tomorrow night on our channel. We want to thank Fantasy Sports Corporation for allowing us to do this, and Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring the show. We will talk to you guys again tomorrow night during the draft. The draft in KC, people.
And if you're there, make sure you boo Roger Goodell. It's
yes.
it's an honor.
Gotta
at this
boo him.
point.
Roger Goodell.
Got it, boom. If you
I
are
want
there,
it to be Arrowhead loud. Okay.
Yes.
well, I don't know if that old man can take that. That might hurt something. He might.
I could live with
Something might
that.
get hurt.
His ear might hurt.
His ear. It might be more in his ear.
Run the credits.